What's up guys, Chris here from Mainely Mesh, and welcome to my review of the Brine King 2 ST head, which is Brine's latest defensive-minded option, and it's a pretty interesting new concept for them. If you guys didn't see my review of the King 2, click, I believe it's on the sidebar now. Basically what Brine and Warrior are doing is they're releasing a new head and doing it in kind of an offensive version and a defensive version. Pretty similar sidewall struts, but beefing one up, changing the face shape. They're definitely two different heads, so it's not kind of like the Mark II-T and the Mark II-V that are more or less the same head, but one's a little bulkier. These are definitely different heads. First thing you'll notice when you pick up the King 2 ST, it's definitely a bulky head. It's got some serious weight to it, but it's still a little bit loose. That's just a result of these two sidewall struts instead of 3 or even 4. Kind of a bummer from a company that put out the Cyber in the past, a very solid sidewall strut structure. I don't really know why they would try to ditch them for a defensive model. I know they're trying to keep the aesthetic similar, but it does allow for a little bit of flexibility. Basically, the sidewall bottom rail shape is very similar to the Revos of the past. So kind of that kind of that Warrior sharp tick upwards at the end, similar to the true defensive head as well, which isn't something I've always enjoyed on a defensive head. It makes it hard to really keep a nice high pocket, as you can notice. I did try to keep things a little higher, but still kind of got them pushed down lower into the stick. I used a different mesh here just to account for the shape, so the pattern I give you at the end isn't really I'm not even sure I'll give it to you. But I used Red Star mesh to account for the wider shape. I like doing that in defensive heads. Check out his videos too, he's the man. Let's get into the nitty gritty. The tech that this head employs. First, core tech, it cores out a little bit on the inside here. Sorry, but I don't really know why you would do that on a defensive head and need as much strength as possible. It really only has it in a little section of the inner rail, but that's about it. Also has very flex technology across the top, which is where they inject a stronger plastic into the scoop, as well as this bottom rail here, which is a nice addition. It definitely would have been flimsier without it, but there are some other structural things that really kind of put some weaknesses in some places I don't want to see. Throat is super stiff, so not going to have any issues there. Does pretty well side to side, not too big of a problem there. Also has the lock throat technology. This is called the lock throat, right? Getting these all confused. What String Kings? Can't remember. Lock tight lock, super duper no rattle thing. The face shape is pretty nice and aggressive. I think it's going to be an interesting feel and a nice smooth release. That's the only reason why I wish they wouldn't have had this drastic kind of chunk up at the end, because it doesn't quite suit the face shape. The face shape is pretty aggressive and offensive minded, which I think a lot of people would like. My only big issue with the head is the way these struts are set up is there's a lot of flexibility on this scoop on ground balls. That's where I see the most wear and tear on defensive heads, is these scoops kind of bending inwards. All of you defensemen who have ever used a Maverick tank, even the old STX hammer, trying to think of some other heads that do that, even the Hammer 500, you guys all know, if you've ever used a D-pull, that the heads tend to flare in after GBs. And if you have any sort of weakness there at all, if I can move this at all, it's not a great sign for down the road. So a lot of that has to do with your strut structure in the top third of the head, and this one just doesn't quite set itself up for success. All in all, for the pros, I definitely like the face shape. It's one of my favorite defensive face shapes currently available on the market. I think it's plenty wide without being too aggressive, and it's strung up pretty easily with a wider mesh. Cons, I don't really like the bottom side rail. I really worry about this top. Another pro is a stiff throat. The Loctite technology will really give you a lot of solidarity in the bottom part of that head, and you shouldn't see too much flaring side to side, but I do worry about that scoop. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, add them down below. Thanks so much for watching. I repeated myself. Catch you guys next time.